And we're back. Now, here we are recovering from this horrible mess that is my shovelville farm. Now, I've got a good idea, well, what I think is a good idea to actually make sure that this thing actually works properly. What I'm going to do is put in a little birthing room for all my shovels right there. Yes, I'm going to make the birthing room one tile in size. The plan here is we're going to have all the eggs dumped in here, and then we're going to... Oh, is that a... Oh my god, there's actually a vole in there. Uh, Wait, no, sleeping. They're not actually trapped in there. Okay, fine. For a second, I thought I'd entombed them in there somehow. Never mind, just a sleeping baby. Yeah, I'm going to basically cut out this tile here, and I'm going to dump all the eggs in there. We're going to use a little bit of automation, a little bit of conveyor loading, and we're basically going to dump all the eggs into this tile where these auto sweepers can't gain access to them. And any excess eggs we're going to dump in here. Should be pretty doable. I'm going to leak a bunch of gas doing it, but I can live with that. Yeah, so first off, just going to grab a conveyor rail for this. For you, yeah, we're going to go across here. Get you immediately out of there. We're going to have you... There, yeah, there should be perfect. Conveyor shut off, thank you very much. You're going to be outside of everything, so you can just go right there. So, the eggs will immediately get loaded up in here. Well, that's what we're going to do anyway. And the eggs will come down here and try and escape it. Well, try and get dumped into this. But we're going to have a little cutoff. If there's not enough eggs in here, the eggs will instead get dumped into this tile right there. This will become far more understandable as it starts to come together. Also, the moment I deconstruct that, I'm going to start hemorrhaging gas. I don't actually have any backplates in there. You unfortunately can't put drywall behind tiles that already exist. So I need to put in a backing tile there sooner rather than later. But yeah, no one's that fast. Did that go in? No, it did not. There we go. Okay, we'll make that actually a high priority. Now, can the drill reach in there? Yes, the drill can reach in there, but those auto sweepers can't. So what I'm going to do is have any excess eggs go right in there, drop them off in a conveyor chute. So if we don't have enough eggs in here or enough critters in here, the eggs will get dumped in there. If we do have enough eggs, then the eggs will get dumped over here. Then it should just be a case of setting up the automation. Where's our automation wires? Give me, yeah, gold will do fine. Oh, yeah, we'll hop across here. Don't want to be fiddling with that door. If I accidentally open that up now, that could be a mess. Okay, that's currently still red and won't turn green until it hits the required number of critters. Yeah, we can switch that in a minute. Actually, I think I'm going to need a NOT gate on this. Yeah, we'll get rid of those and those. Actually, I can leave that wire there and just stick a NOT gate on like this. Perfect. What did I make that NOT gate out of? Iron? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, when you're dealing with a critter sensor, if you don't have a NOT gate, it's not going to work. So we do have a NOT gate, so it'll work. Now, I'm going to need power over here as well, actually. It's only 10 watts. We can live with that. Actually, no, I want to leave that open so I can see the eggs. Perfect. Now, I'll just cut forward in time a bit until all this little construction project is complete. Okay, this is looking... I think right. I'm going to actually give this a spin up and give it a try. So what I'm going to do here is deconstruct these wires. And that should allow those auto sweepers to turn on. So they're going to start picking up eggs and dumping them into the conveyor system. Now, how many eggs do I want in here? I want to keep this at, let's say about 30 critters. Okay, so there's less than 30 critters in there. And there go all the eggs. That's what I was worried about. All the eggs would just end up stacked like that. What's the automation looking like? Okay, wait, that's green. Okay, that is bad. I don't want that to be green. I want that to be red. Okay, I made a mistake. Let me have a quick think about this. Okay, I made a complete hames of the whole thing. I didn't actually need the NOT gate, not for this particular design. Confused me. I had to actually go back and check my own videos to see exactly how these worked again. Okay, what I've done is I've stripped out the NOT gate. Now, at the moment, we've got this set to 30 critters. I've dumped all the eggs on this one tile. I accidentally ended up dumping them all in here, which is bad. But I've set this to 30 critters. I only want 30 critters in this room, and currently there is a whole lot more than 30 critters in there because of all the eggs I've got dumped in here. So because we've got more than 30 critters, we're going to dump the excess in here. So I'm going to enable this sucker here, enable this building. I'll set that as a 9. So once that's enabled, it should start sucking up these eggs and dumping them over here. Actually, I'm going to stick in a second sweeper while we're here. We're going to need this in a bit. Right, and we're also going to need power for that. This sweeper here is specifically just to actually just to pick up the eggshells and meat that end up in there. There won't be that much meat, but there will be some eggshells. Okay, this is the thing. This is why I had to redo the design. You notice this auto sweeper here? It's picking up a lot of eggs. Yeah, how many is in there? Yeah, lots. So this was going to mess with the whole system. Now, if we check the automation, it's still green because of the amount of eggs. If we'll check this, once the eggs actually enter this wall and pass through here, they don't actually count as being in this room anymore. So the moment they're in the wall, they don't count, so the critter sensor goes a little bit crazy when this happens. So currently the critter sensor is saying, there's not enough eggs in this room, we want more eggs. Then what happens is this is going to come down here, and because this is turned off, since this is red, it won't allow them to continue on into the evolution room. So instead, since they can't get through there, they'll just go to the next available exit, which is in here. And the eggs start getting dumped down here in our little breeding cubby hole. How's our automation looking? Yeah, it's still green, but come on, work for me. Now it's detected that there's actually enough eggs in here. It's decided there is 30 critters and 30 eggs because it can actually detect these eggs here. So between all the critters and the eggs, there's about 30 critters, maybe a little bit more. It takes it a second or two to update. So now it's actually said, okay, you're green, start dumping the excess in there. Oh, my bad. I actually left this in place. Yeah, I transferred all these eggs back over here because I messed up the original. We'll get rid of you, you. Oh, actually, simplest thing to do with you is stop you from picking up critter eggs. That would be a lot smarter. Uh, so that should at least give us critter control. Now all our eggs end up over here where they can't get picked up by these two auto sweepers. And this auto sweeper that I placed down here, this one can't actually reach, if I could select it, yeah, this one can't actually reach this conveyor loader to load it up with eggs. So all the eggs that are in here are tucked in nice and safe. They can't be accessed by the rest of it. Think of this little room here as a breeding room, even if it's only one tile in size. It's actually the breeding room. Remember Cohen Visser's breeding room in the base loving videos? He basically had a specific breeding room for dumping the eggs. All we've done here is make that room really, really, really small and make sure that the moment the critters hatch, they can actually just walk into the rest of the ranch. Now, there is one downside. That downside is voles might actually lay eggs in here, which will mess with the numbers. But honestly, I don't mind if I end up with a couple of extra. That's fine. This just means the eggs incubate here all on their own, so it doesn't mean and requires absolutely zero dupe interaction. Uh, Eggs are laid in here. They get either dumped over here or dumped into the meatificator, and then any eggshells and meat get dumped into this conveyor loader, and they get sent down to the kitchens, and any eggshells and meat in here get dumped into this conveyor loader. And once I actually put in the shipping rails, that would be an idea. Say like that, they'll actually get sent down to the kitchen as well. Let's put in a conveyor bridge here and finish this off once and for all. This was a little bit trickier of a build than I was anticipating, but I think it all worked out in the end. Perfect. Okay, so that should mean all the eggs once they hatch, all the meat from them should go down here. This goes. Okay, apologize for the zooming out. That goes all the way down there. Where is it? It hangs a right somewhere. Yes. Goes all the way across here and just dumps down directly into the CO2 pit in the base. So perfect. Don't have to do anything anymore. We should effectively be able to have all our meat just automated completely, including the feeding of them. Now, I do need to set this up though. What was the last thing? conveyor belt. Nope. Drywall. Nope. Come on, get it. So this will be food and we're waiting for meat. And we also need organic for eggshells. And that's it. Should be fully operational now. Now what I'm going to do is lock everyone, well, once I do a little bit of a tidy up in here, I'm going to lock everyone except the beasties from getting in here. And then I'm going to set these up for regolith drop-off so that the rest of my duplicants can start dropping regolith in here. My beasties should hopefully be too busy to start picking up a regolith from in here and dropping it up there. Worst case scenario, they'll waste a bit of time. I'm okay with that. Anyway, I'll just cut this out here and I'll cut back in a minute once I've taken care of the tidy up work. Now, last thing before I tie the bow up on all of this vole and regolith farming, I made a bit of a change here to the regolith harvesting. You'll notice here all of these feed into the little white conveyor rail on the bridge. That's so that they basically share the load. But what I've done over here is I've modified all of them so that they all feed in this direction, so that the conveyor bridge, the line along here actually has priority. There was actually a reason for this, and we're going to have a look at that as this regolith falls down. It's basically to reduce strain on the system and reduce power consumption, and basically just make things easier to cool as well. Now, we're just going to let these all fire off, and what you'll notice is these ones here will, all four of them, well actually this one won't, it's not in range, but all three of these are going to remain pretty much active the whole time. But these ones over here, eventually only the fourth one in the row will become active, and then once that's finished doing all its harvesting, the third one will become active, then the second one, then the first. They basically spread the load, as in this one will operate first, then this one, then this one, then this one. These ones unfortunately are active all the time, and it's very inefficient. Let's see. Let's have a look here, and if we watch the actual conveyor loaders here, you notice this one here is putting in 20 kilos, this one here is putting in 20 kilos, this one here is putting in 40 kilos, and these three are pretty much active constantly because they're all letting a little bit of regolith escape at a time because of the way the bridges are set up. They're all sharing the load. However, if we go back to these four over here where I've modified it, you notice these three are all doing nothing, and only this one is active. And it's actually putting in, well, okay, now it's empty, but it should be putting in about 60 to 80 kilos at a time. This just means we get all the regolith in with less strain on the system, as in these less actions for every auto sweeper, less actions for every loader, and these units have actually lots of downtime in between operations. They have plenty of time to cool off from all the heat they're generating. So you notice there, that's putting in 60 kilos at a time, 80 kilos in that instance. So it's putting in 60 to 80 kilos depending on location and a few other things. But it's mostly doing it quite efficiently. Whereas this one, yeah, they're all still randomly putting in little bits at a time. This was resulting in a lot more heat being generated than I needed to. So just remember that you can just set them up this way, and it just feeds the regolith on nice and slowly, nice and evenly, and yeah, it just works out a lot better and more efficiently for you. Next up, though, next up we're going to try tackling power issues. Okay, so Ryan gave me an idea to actually tame one of these leaky oil fissures. I've never done it before, and I thought, well, they're not really that worth it, but I was thinking maybe we could just do it with a very simplistic setup, just using a steam turbine to delete the heat. So, yeah, why not? I mean, I do like taking inspiration from these bases people are sending in. So what I'm doing at the moment is I've just sealed this area in, and I'm going to turn it into a vacuum. I've got lots of visco gel to work with, so this makes it very simple to set these things up. So at the moment, I'm just going to seal it up, get in some gas pumps in here, pump out all the gas, and then we're going to get around to turning this into a nice little oil fissure tamer, which hopefully shouldn't be too difficult. Anyway, I'm just going to skip forward a bit until we've got a vacuum going on. Oh, actually, no, I should probably point out a few of the changes I made as I was going along. I did some minor modifications here and there as I was waiting for things to complete. And yeah, the game is going to take a bit of time to complete. 1 second there. Where was I? Yeah, it was this one over here. Now, one thing I did was the storage area down here, my universal storage, which is full of junk, though a lot of the regolith's gone now. I switched it into a vacuum. The reason I turned it into a vacuum is it stopped the temperature fluctuations. Basically, if I hovered my cursor here, I could see the gas was suddenly jumping up to 100 and something degrees, plummeting down to 60, up and down all the time. It seems having that much stuff in one spot, the temperature calculations must have been crazy. Now, I probably should remove the weight plate and replace it with an insulated tile made of insulation. That would stop all heat transfer entirely. But you know what? Nah. I want to be able to see how much is in there. Now, actually, watch what happens when I try and scroll over this particular sucker. Oh, yeah, the game just decided to go, yeah, that's going to take a while. As you can see, all the data banks have ended up there. Pretty much everything on the entire map I have mined out. Everything I've harvested from space, almost every single thing on the map is right on that spot. There's an awful lot of it. Now, another thing I did was the slime was causing a problem because it was off-gassing in there. So to take care of that, I dumped all the slime over here. Now, one fun thing about slime, it's not always so obvious, is slime will off-gas in a gas pressure of, I think it's about 1.8 kilos. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 1.8. I think it's 1.8. So if you place that in a gas where there's less than 1.8 kilos of pressure, it will keep off-gassing until the pressure gets above 1.8 kilos. But it doesn't matter if it's a gas or a liquid. So what I did here to get it to off gas is I've got this thin layer of petroleum. I was originally started out with water, but unfortunately the slime was heated up to over 100 degrees from being in such close contact with regolith, and it was turning all my water into steam. But you can do this with water, polluted water, basically any liquid, except for maybe magma. I wouldn't use magma. But as you can see here, the slime is continuing to off gas, and when it does, it pushes all the petroleum out of the way. Because the liquid here is less than 1.8 kilos, the slime can off gas, but when it off gases, it pushes the petroleum aside. You can see it there, it just pushes it out of the way. Then these deodorizers kick in, turn the polluted oxygen into oxygen, which then merges with the rest of the atmosphere and gets out of the way so the liquid can rush back in. And then the whole process repeats again and again and again. I think there was 24 tons of slime in each one of those nodes when I started, roughly. So it's driving up the oxygen pressure in here quite a bit. I was doing this for fun, but I think I'm going to stop this now because it's starting to get a little bit out of control. So I'll just mop up all this gunk and stop that from off-gassing. The main reason I put the slime over here, though, was to stop it filling up this area with gas. It was becoming an inconvenience. Barring that, oh yeah, the ice area over here, I actually came in from the top and put in a whole bunch of wheezeworts just to freeze everything down. Everything in here is now, almost minus 60. How are these looking? Well, okay, except for the ice, they're minus 30 or so. But that was all the major changes I made. But where were we? Down, 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 and this. Okay, so I'm just going to do a standard vacuum out of this place and get rid of all the gunk. It's going to be a bit weird though. There's oxygen, chlorine, polluted oxygen, all sorts of random stuff in here, so it'll take a little bit longer than normal. So I'll just skip forward until we're ready to get started. Okay, while that's still going on, I thought I'd just point out a little something here. Do you ever hear players complain that they'd like some way to automate the removal of space touristy objects? Well, there is a reason for that. At first, you think, okay, they're being douches about it, but it's realistically, I've got to try and get all of these out of there, and I literally have to do this. There's one. Next. And you literally have to go through one by one and do this, which kind of becomes a bit of a problem as it gets into the late game, and you have so many rockets running and they're automated. You stop looking at them for 100 cycles or so, and all of a sudden you've got all this junk you've got to pile down here. Also, it's all going to be superheated. This is just one of those things that doesn't become a problem until you get into the ultra late game and you realize, yeah, this is actually kind of annoying having to scroll through all of this and do this. But yeah, just next time you see someone on Reddit or a forum complaining about this is the kind of thing they're complaining about having to do. And by heating up the place, what I meant was all of this stuff has been sitting in the bottom of a rocket silo. So it's been exposed to an awful lot of, rocket exhaust. So as you can see, it's turning the entire place into a bit of a sauna. It's almost, yeah, actually, that's really hot. I should maybe not have put in so many so quickly. That was, it'll be fine. My cooling solution should eventually take care of it, and I don't think the Drecos will die. Yeah, no, it takes so long for the Drecos to absorb the heat. I should have actually gotten it out of there before the time comes. What are we looking at down here? 28.5 is the liquid coming out. When it's going in, it's 26.7. It'll take a while, but my cooling system will take care of that. These things are actually incredibly useful. For example, we'll just look at this watch here. It has a decor of plus 78 on that pedestal, and it has a radius of 8 tiles. What I'm normally using is these genius level masterpiece sculptures, which have plus 30 decor and a radius of 8 tiles. So these are over twice as effective and only take up 2 tiles instead of 3. Meaning I'm going to start piling them in up here into, well, pretty much all these areas. Not this round, but at some point I'll do it in the background. And I'll replace all those statues. And since they're only 2 tiles high, I can stick a couple of paintings over them as well. They allow you to cram in even more decor in a smaller area. It's kind of ridiculous. For example, if we just look at, say, this place here, yeah, there's 1,114 decor in that spot right there. So all I have to do is put in, say, some diamond tiles to allow the decor from below to copper up, and we'll be looking at over what 2,000 decor in that sector. kind of crazy. So they are very useful in the late game, but you do have to find a way to deal with the heat. So make sure you've got a decent cooling solution. And unfortunately, there's no way to sort of pre-cool them before you bring them down because you don't really have a way of managing these. The only thing you can do is put them on a pedestal. That is literally it. That's the only way you can move them around. And I haven't been able to figure out a way to rotate them to a cooling area before you let them into your base. Nah, not really that big a deal. Anyway, back to the project at hand. Okay, the plan here, now that we've got a vacuum in place, is I'm going to, when I open this oil fissure, I'm going to let the oil out of it just roll down here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a bunch of diamond tiles right here so it has to kind of roll in here and touch the diamond tiles. And then I'm just going to build a steam turbine above it. So as the oil rolls through here, it should hopefully transfer its heat into the diamond tiles. The diamond tiles will put them into the steam, and the steam will get eaten by the steam turbine. And then out the other side, I should get, well, petroleum that's only about, rough guess, it can't go any lower than 125, so probably 130, 150. But it should definitely be cool enough that, whatchamacallit, a steel gas pump or a steel pump should be able to handle it quite handily. So I don't really want to use any space materials here. And also, while we're at it, we'll get rid of those ladder segments. We don't want those anymore. And I'm probably going to put in a couple of temperature shift plates just to help the early oil dump in its heat. So we'll say one there, and yeah, we'll probably going to have diamond tiles there. So yeah, one there as well, just to soak it up. All right. And the rest of this cross will be diamond tiles. Yeah, while that's going on, let's keep this place nice and clean. I'm going to have to clean the whole place out. Hey, what are you doing, Tinkerdog? Go on, get out of there. Yeah, actually, I should. Yeah, I've got this on medium speed because it seems to help with their pathing. They figure things out quicker. The faster I put this on, the longer they seem to pause between operations or tasks. It just seems to be something that's going to happen the later you get into the game. Okay, so this is sort of what I'm aiming for. The crude oil is going to flow down here. When it gets to the other side, I'll have a pump in here to extract it. In the meantime, let's say to grab an insulated pipe, and we're going to, let's see, we'll dump that right there. Yeah, we'll dump the liquid right there. I just want to put the liquid slightly to the right because I was having problems in the past where liquid was clogging up these vents. So if I do it this way and maybe move those temperature shift plates just a scooch. Yeah, let's put one there and one there. That means we can probably get rid of that one and get rid of that. Yeah, and then we can brick it up. I want to be able to gain access to here in case anything goes wrong. Worst case scenario, I can put in a doorway or something to seal this off. Actually, let's throw in the ladder segments. Perfect. And now, we do need to finish walling this in. What am I missing? I always forget something. I know I've missed so many things when building these steam turbines. And I'm going to keep a close eye on these dupes because they will entomb themselves if I'm not careful. Let's see. Put you there. Oh, yeah, I need to deconstruct that. I need my dupes to be able to gain access to the temperature shift plate. Yeah, so as you can see, pretty straightforward. Oil rolls down, should dump off most of its heat when it goes through here. And then when it gets to the end, well, we throw it into a pump and we're done. Yeah, for the pump, I'm thinking I'm going to have to put a flow control on it. The oil vent doesn't actually have, I think its activity period is 100%. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they just never stop erupting. They're pretty much constant. But I won't find that out until I actually analyze it. So I think I'll just put in a flow control valve. And then I can leave this place open so I can do some modifications if needs be. Let's see, put that there. Yep, there goes one of them. Got himself entombed. We'll make you a priority 6. Someone help out Art Doug. They're special. Oop, did not want to go there. Where are we? Here we are. Hey, did they get out? Yep, they made themselves safe. Excellent. Try not to do that again. Dupes. Now, if that goes in there, yeah, that should be fine. Put those there. Boom. Oh, no, I want to cancel that. I need to actually put the water in, don't I? Always something I'm trying to forget every single time. 200 kilos of water should do. I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter how much water's in here, but 200 kilos, that's pretty much my standard default at this point. So you finish that temperature shift plate. Now I'm going to stick in a diamond window tile right there. That should help get the heat from the oil immediately in there. I've also left myself a little bit of access as well. And I am going to have to wall in the steam turbine because I'm going to need some heat deletion up here. And I'm thinking I'm going to put in a wheezewort. I haven't done the math on exactly what I'm going to need, but I'm thinking one wheezewort should do it. though I will show you how to do the actual math on figuring out how much of a wheezewort you need. It's actually not that bad. Steam turbines will produce heat for 10% of the heat they destroy. So for every bit of heat they destroy, they will produce, well, turn 10% of the heat they destroy into heat that comes out the top of the steam turbine that you have to dispose of. So it's actually not that bad to work out the math on those things. Now, diamond window tile, and see, want to pick another one? You know what? Yeah, let's make it 2 diamond window tiles there, just to make sure we get the maximum amount of heat transfer. Okay. Just 1 second there. Now, to figure out how much heat we're going to be deleting, I'll just show you how to do it. I won't go into too much detail. I'll just show you so that if you're interested, you can figure it out yourself at a later date. We'll just find some crude oil. So I've got some crude oil down here that I selected. Actually, we're up from this pile. So the thing you're interested in here is in the properties, you're looking for specific heat capacity. The reason we want that is that number there, 1.690, it's sort of how much energy it takes to raise 1 gram of, if you have 1 gram of crude oil, if you apply that much heat, it will raise the temperature of it by 1 Celsius, 1 degree. So what we need to figure out is, this is spitting out 361.8 grams a second. We multiply that by the heat capacity of crude oil, and that tells us how much energy it would take to change that much crude oil's temperature by 1 degree. But we don't need to change it by 1 degree. We need to worry about how much heat we're going to be deleting. So this steam turbine, I think, operates down to as low as 125, or is it 120? Well, let's say 125. So we actually minus 125 from that. The rest of that heat we could potentially delete, and it would go through the steam turbine. And then 10% of that leftover heat, 10% of that heat would actually be released as heat in the top of the steam turbine. Okay, so let me jump over to a notepad here and we'll do this really quick. Okay, don't panic, don't panic. This is pretty straightforward. This is the heat capacity of crude oil. This is how much crude oil that's spit out a second. And then what I'm doing is I'm minusing 125 Celsius. The oil is never going to go below 125 because the steam turbine can't actually go that low. In fact, we're probably not even going to get it to 125, but we're trying to be safe here. That means we have to delete 201.9 degrees of temperature from 361.8 grams of crude oil. Pretty much not that bad. So how much heat do we have to delete? You basically take the grams a second, which is this. You multiply it by the heat capacity, which is that, and multiply it by the degrees of heat you want to actually delete. And then once you've got all that, that's how much heat you're throwing into the steam turbine. And 10% of that is the amount of heat you're going to have to deal with at the top of the turbine. And just for reference, 1 wheezewort in hydrogen, 2.2 kilos, can delete 1,200 units, or I call this 12 units, but it's basically 12,000 units. Now, pretty simple. So we got grams a second multiplied by the, what was it? What did I choose? Oh yeah, heat capacity. So that's how much energy it will take to reduce all of this grams a second by 1 degree every second. But then, well, we're not trying to reduce it by 1 degree, we're trying to reduce it by 201.9. So we multiply that by 201.9, and that's how much heat we're going to be feeding into the steam turbine, assuming perfect situation. Now, we only need 10% of that though, because only 10% of that heat will be come out the top of the steam turbine as waste. So we just divide that by 100. It gives us 1%, multiply it by 10 to give us 10%, and that is the total we get. That's how much heat we're going to have to deal with. Now, 1 wheezewort can handle 12,000, so we're actually just a little bit over. We might actually get away with 1 wheezewort. We'll try with 1 because I doubt we're going to get the oil down to 125. But I'll leave in some space just in case we need to make some modifications. As you can see, this is not that hard. There's more information on it on the wiki as well if you want to look it up. But all you got to remember is heat capacity by the grams a second by the temperature difference tells you how much heat you're dealing with. It's not that difficult. Anyway, we'll just jump back to the game now. Okay, so somehow I let oxygen in here. Did not even notice. Sounds like me all right. The only reason I noticed was because when I poured in liquid in here, it forced all the oxygen to the end and didn't actually kick it out. So yeah, we're back to vacuuming this place out again. I'll just skip forward past this bit. You don't need to see me doing another failed vacuum attempt again. I'll just put a bunch of random pumps around the place and we'll hopefully have this place back to vacuum in no time. Okay, we're on a path back to normality. I'm going to start deleting some of these bottle emptiers as well. I don't think I'm going to need them anymore. Uh, I have no idea how the oxygen got back in there. If anyone noticed how the oxygen sneaked in, let me know. Oh, the insulated tiles along the top. When I replaced these insulated tiles, it actually broke the vacuum seal and the oxygen snuck in from above. That's why. Okay, okay, never mind. Figured it out. Yeah, I'll just skip forward until this is done. Now I'm about to do a little bit of an experiment here. I want to actually replace this tile here with an insulated tile. However, normally liquids drop when you do this, so I'm kind of curious if this is going to cause a horrible problem and break the vacuum, but let's just see. I've got to find this out at some point. Yeah, yeah, I just broke the vacuum, didn't I? Yeah, and I dumped back in a whole bunch of oxygen. Okay, good to know. If you do remove this tile here from under liquid lock, it will cause problems. Yeah, just at least the experiment was worth the knowledge. Okay, I also seem to have broken the hydrogen line. It seems it's not flowing anymore. When I tapped on this bridge, it somehow broke things, so we're just going to disconnect that for the moment and make sure this starts flowing. Yeah, I always manage to find ways to break things. I think I need to put another bridge on here to actually cause flow. Actually, I might need to put the bridge lower down here just to help with that. So I'll wait until this starts flowing again and I get a bit of a clear gap in the pipes. Ah, there we go, yeah. Did that back up the hydrogen into my oxygen? Oh, no, thank God I have those I still have these hydrogen generators here to burn off any excess hydrogen just in case. I think it's been a long time since they actually did anything. What's it looking like down here? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, another lesson learned about what not to break. So what I'll do here is I'll crack open this line and I'll put in a bridge right about here, let's say. Actually, I'll put it a little bit further down. Here's good. We'll deconstruct you and we'll put in a ventilation bridge just to help this along. Right there. Perfect. Uh, I'll just skip forward again until we've got our vacuum complete for the second time. And finally, we're almost into vacuum for the second time around. The gas has gotten to such low pressures it's actually just dissipating of its own accord, whatever weird mechanic that is. Yeah, we'll be ready to go. Once I strip out the last of these gas pumps, we'll be ready to fire this sucker up. Okay, we're just about ready to pressurize this with hydrogen. As you can see, we've sealed off the room. There's no more modifications I need to make. I just gotta finish off the wire, but first we're gonna set this to, if the pressure in here is below, we're gonna make it 3 kilos. Just to be safe, if it's below 3 kilos, we want you to activate. And then we'll just grab some automation wire and we'll just complete that. There we go. Now, I'm gonna get gas in there. Yes, there we go. Perfect. And now we'll just stick in a wheeze. I've got plenty of wheezes because I've harvested a bunch from space, and that should take care of that. Make sure I have the, yep, I definitely have that set down to there. Perfect. Now, once that's pressurized to 2 kilos, what I can do is I can crack this open here and start letting the oil flow. But first I want to set this up. And the oil is going to flow down here, should be down to hopefully below 150 C, at which point I'm going to let it accumulate a bit, up to about, if the pressure in here is above, say, 250 kilos, we'll let it accumulate up to 250 kilos, just so that this liquid pump has something to exchange temperature with. Now, this thing spits out oil at what speed? 361.8. So we're going to say 362? Yeah, 362 grams a second. So that will limit the amount of oil pumped out. Now, one thing you're going to hear is, well, you're wasting electricity because the pump will only be pumping 361 grams a second. Actually, no, the pump won't activate until the segment of pipe after it is below a certain amount. So even if you're limiting the flow, it doesn't matter. It still uses roughly the same amount of electricity. I think there's a small loss, maybe like 1 or 2% in terms of power draw. Not really worth it to put in the amount of complicated automation it'd take to actually worry about that. I could pump it down in blobs of 10 kilos, but I want this to be a constant, steady flow of oil, just to complement the constant, steady flow of oil we're going to get out of the leaky fissure. Now, that hydrogen is going up quite nicely. I'll just wait until this is at 3 kilos, and once it is, we can fire this sucker up. Oh, actually, put in a second tile there. It shouldn't overflow, but we've got the space. And then once this is, assuming this works, now bear in mind this is just something I threw together in my head and I haven't actually tested it. But assuming this works, we can seal up this side here, and I'll probably seal this up as well. And then we can just leave this thing run and not worry about it again. But I'll cut forward until the hydrogen is pressurized. Hey, we're above 2.2. I'm happy with that. Anything above 2.2 means the wheezewort should be operating at full capacity, though it's not telling me how much it's consuming at the moment. So all we have to do now, break this sucker open and see if it works. Oh, actually, do I have power? Yes, power's in. Plumbing. Plumbing's in. Perfect. And set and set. Perfect. Let's break this open and let's start analyzing this to see what happens. Well, I want to make sure that this is actually going to flow at that rate constantly. I'm pretty sure leaky oil fissures just work constantly forever. They don't actually have a dormancy period. I'm kind of curious at what point it actually starts spitting oil. Not yet. There we go. Okay, our science boffin will be along in a bit to take care of that. And in the meantime, actually, let's get that gunk out of there. Alright, how are we looking? Okay, it's cooling down pretty fast. Well, it is at the temperature shift plate area. That'll slowly dump the heat in there. So we'll let that run for the time being, and we'll just have a quick checkup on the shovels. Ah, so many beautiful shovels, and so much regolith being dumped in there. Ooh, and I've been sent in a couple of bases, so I've got another base loving video coming up, but it'll probably be about a week. I really want to take my time, actually go through the bases and understand them properly. I feel a bit bad on the last two. I went through them, but I didn't spend enough time actually exploring all the systems to get them right. But one of them has a beautiful setup with using regolith to generate power. It's wonderful. We'll see it when the time comes. Now, what are we looking at? Yeah, all the eggs are good. That's fine. How many eggs we got sitting in the corner now? Not many. Most of them have hatched. We're almost up to full population. And if we check out the regolith, that was 8,400 tons, I think I had at one point. Now it's all the way down to 7.9, and that will keep plummeting. Now, if I don't have enough regolith to support all of these, what I can always do is just, well, decrease the number in here, well, the critter counter. So I can actually control the population quite accurately this way. I'm quite happy with the way this has turned out. It'll need a couple hundred cycles to make sure it's working correctly, but I think this is good. I think it's good. Oh, and do I need that? No, I don't need that conveyor chute. That can go. Yeah, that's vestigial. All right, back to oil fissure thingy. Oh, come on. It actually stopped? I thought these things went forever. Oh, that's so frustrating. I'll let this finish off. Actually, I gotta put in power. Heavy conductive wire. Ooh. You know what? We'll deconstruct you. And once the gas shutoff is gone, we can actually deconstruct the power going through here. I want to hook the power that comes off of this steam turbine. I want to hook that directly into my main grid. There's no point not. It's so close by, it would be a shame not to do it. But oh yeah, I'll wait until this analysis is complete and we'll see exactly how this is going to work. Brains has just finished up there and... What? Oh, you finished the analysis. Where is it? Next dormancy, 0 seconds. Activity period, 0.3 cycles every 0.5. Oh yeah, so it's not perfectly active all the time, but active enough that I'm happy enough. Now, the oil is definitely coming out way cooler than it should be, so I'll have to let this run for about 50, 60 cycles just to make sure. And also that means one wheezewort is definitely going to handle this. I can probably get rid of the other one. Just to cover the last of how I'm going to tidy this up, this last chunk of hydrogen here that kind of ended up there, I'm just going to feed that back onto the grid. Should be no problems. I don't even lose any hydrogen. Eh, we'll see how this build works out. I'm quite happy with it so far. I think this should work. And it should be fairly simple to do. I think that's a nice compact way of dealing with oil fissures. Now, you won't get a lot of power out of these. Even with an oil boiler, that means I'm getting 361 watts. That's like every gram of oil is basically converts into a watt. 2,000 grams or 2 kilos will give you 2 kilowatts. So the easiest way to think of it is if you've got crude oil and you've got a petroleum boiler, every single gram of crude oil is 1 watt. So this isn't even going to generate me 300 watts per second, even with everything I'm doing with it. However, I'll get a little bit of extra heat from running it by the steam turbine, so maybe I'll get a little bit of extra energy. I'll have to do some calculations and figure it out, but as far as I can tell, I'm pretty happy with this. Anyway, I'll cut this out here, and now that I've kind of dealt with most of the things around the map, I think what I'm going to do next, just because the update is not going to be released for a while, I'm going to give myself a little bit of a challenge and see how many dupes I can run on this map. This is a pretty average map in terms of water. I think I've got about 5 kilos of water. So theoretically, I should be able to run about 50 dupes, assuming I don't have any water for food. But if I boil the oil, or maybe even turn it into sour gas, into natural gas, I can maybe squeeze out some extra water. I might be able to get this up to about 70 dupes on this map, maybe a little bit more if I pull out a few more tricks. So I'm curious to see how far I can take it. Though I will have to actually tame that polluted oxygen vent as well. That will give me an extra couple of dupes. And I'd probably have to shut down the... Actually, there's a whole bunch of stuff I'd have to do. But I'll cut this out here. Hope you enjoyed anyway that we actually managed to solve the shove voles. And well, we won't know for sure how well this works, but I'll put up the save so you can have a look at it if you want. But I figured this should be solid. And hope you enjoyed and good luck.